Seneca Stoic goals. Have you ever felt it? That cold, creeping paralysis that sets in when you look at a goal so big, so monumental, it feels less like a challenge and more like a cliff face you're supposed to scale with your bare hands. It could be the dream of starting your own business, writing a novel, transforming your health, or mastering a complex skill. You see the summit, the glorious, sun-drenched peak of completion, and then you look down at your feet, planted in the mud of today, and the distance between the two seems infinite. Your mind, in an act of self-preservation, simply shuts down. It's not laziness. It's not a lack of ambition. It's overwhelm, a cognitive overload so powerful it can stop the most brilliant minds in their tracks. This feeling, this mental gridlock, is the silent killer of countless great ambitions. We stand at the base of our personal mountains, and instead of taking a first step, we just stare, mesmerized by the sheer impossibility of it all. We tell ourselves we'll start tomorrow, when we have more energy, a better plan, when the stars align. But tomorrow never comes, and the mountain just keeps looming. But what if this paralysis isn't a personal failing? What if it's a software glitch in our thinking, a bug that can be patched with a 2,000-year-old piece of code? Enter Lucius Annaeus Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers of ancient Rome. Seneca was no stranger to mountains. He was a playwright, a statesman, and advisor to the Emperor Nero, and one of the wealthiest men in Rome. He also faced exile, political intrigue, chronic illness, and was ultimately ordered to take his own life by his former student, Nero. His life was a constant navigation of treacherous peaks and terrifying valleys. Through it all, he developed a philosophy not for quiet contemplation in a garden, but for active engagement in the messy, unpredictable arena of life. He needed a practical system for dealing with overwhelming odds, a way to maintain his composure and effectiveness whether he was writing a tragedy or facing his own mortality. His life was a constant navigation of treacherous peaks and terrifying valleys. Through it all, he developed a philosophy not for quiet contemplation in a garden, but for active engagement in the messy, unpredictable arena of life. He needed a practical system for dealing with overwhelming odds, a way to maintain his composure and effectiveness whether he was writing a tragedy or facing his own mortality. And from this crucible of high-stakes living, he forged a powerful mental model, a technique we can call the mountain carver method. Imagine a sculptor. They are presented with a colossal, shapeless block of marble, a mountain of stone. Do they despair at the sheer volume of material they need to remove? Do they try to lift the whole thing? No, that would be insane. The sculptor sees the final form, the statue of David, the Pietà, hidden in the stone. They know their job is not one of impossible creation, but one of deliberate, methodical removal. They pick up a single chisel and a hammer. They don't focus on the thousands of tons of rock they need to clear away. They focus only on the next chip. They study the grain, they choose their spot, and they make one single, precise strike. Then another, and another. Each action is small, manageable, and entirely within their control. The magnificent statue isn't the result of one grand heroic act of creation. It is the cumulative result of 10,000 tiny, focused, and seemingly insignificant acts of carving. This is the essence of Seneca's mountain carver technique. It's a profound shift in perspective. Your impossible goal, your mountain, is not a single monolithic entity. It is a collection of stone. And you have a chisel. The paralysis we feel comes from trying to mentally engage with the entire mountain at once. Our brain correctly identifies this as an impossible task. But the task is never to move the mountain. The task is always and only to make the next chip. Stop looking at the summit. Look at the stone right in front of you. This simple reframing is the key that unlocks the paralysis. It transforms an overwhelming abstract concept like get in shape into a concrete, actionable task like put on my running shoes and go for a 10-minute walk. It turns write a book into write one paragraph. This ancient wisdom has been rediscovered by modern psychology and productivity science, often under new names. We call it chunking, task decomposition, or setting micro goals. But at its heart is the same Stoic principle: break down the unmanageable into the manageable. When you do this, you're not just making the task easier, you are fundamentally changing your relationship with it. You are shifting your focus from the terrifying, uncontrollable outcome, the finished statue, the conquered summit, to the immediate, controllable process, the next swing of the hammer. This is where the magic happens. By focusing on the chip, you bypass the brain's overwhelm circuit. You replace anxiety with action. You replace fear of the unknown with the quiet confidence of a craftsman who knows their tools. The goal is no longer a source of dread, but a source of purpose. This isn't just a productivity hack. It's a strategy for maintaining sanity and composure in the face of life's greatest challenges. It's about learning to see the path through the stone, to understand that the grandest achievements are not born from superhuman strength, but from superhuman persistence, one deliberate chip at a time. The mountain is waiting. The question is, are you ready to pick up your chisel? The Stoic Toolkit for Carving. So we have this powerful metaphor, the mountain carver. It's inspiring. It feels right. But a metaphor alone won't carve the mountain. To truly put this technique into practice, we need to open Seneca's toolbox and understand the philosophical machinery that makes it work. This isn't just about breaking big goals into small tasks. It's about adopting a specific Stoic mindset that fuels the entire process. This is where we move from a neat idea to a life-altering operating system for your mind. The first and most important tool in this kit is the cornerstone of all Stoic thought, the dichotomy of control. The Stoics, especially Epictetus and Seneca, taught that the root of most of our mental suffering comes from a simple error, confusing what we can control with what we can't. Let's apply this to our mountain. What, precisely, is outside of your control? The final outcome, the summit. You don't control the weather on the mountain. A sudden storm could be a market crash that affects your new business. You don't control the geological composition of the rock. Some parts of your project will be unexpectedly difficult, like a key team member quitting. You don't control whether people will admire your finished statue. You can't control audience reception or critical acclaim. Trying to worry about or control these things is, in the Stoic view, a form of insanity. It's like a sculptor trying to command the rain to stop. It's a complete waste of your precious energy and focus. So, what within your control? The chisel, the hammer, the angle of your next strike, the decision to show up today and carve. Your effort, your attitude, your actions, these are your domain. The mountain carver mindset is the radical acceptance of this division. You release all attachment to the summit and develop a laser-like focus on the chip. Your goal isn't get the promotion. That's the mountain, and it depends on your boss, on company performance, on other candidates. Your goal is to make the next chip, to deliver your current project ahead of schedule and above expectations. That is controllable. Your goal isn't become a famous musician. Your goal is to practice your scales for 1 hour today. That is controllable. This shift drains the anxiety out of ambition. The pressure vanishes because you are no longer responsible for the mountain. You are only responsible for your next swing. This leads directly to the second tool, focusing on the process, not the prize. In our modern, goal-obsessed culture, we are taught to fixate on the destination. We believe that happiness and fulfillment are waiting for us at the top of the mountain. But the Stoics would argue this is a trap. If your happiness is contingent on reaching the summit, you are setting yourself up for a life of quiet desperation, punctuated by brief, fleeting moments of relief. The journey to any great goal is long, and most of it is spent carving, not celebrating. The Stoic carver learns to find satisfaction in meaning. They take pride in a well-placed strike, in the clean break of the stone, in the feeling of the chisel in their hand. The virtue is in the action. The reward is the work. This is the concept of amor, a love of one's fate, or in this case, a love of one's process. When you love the process, you become unstoppable. A setback isn't a catastrophe. It's just a more interesting piece of rock to figure out. A day where you only manage to chip away a little bit isn't a failure. It's a day you spent practicing your craft. This mindset builds unshakable resilience. People who are only motivated by the prize quit when the prize seems too far away. People who are motivated by the process just keep showing up day after day, finding joy in the simple, repeatable act of swinging the hammer. The third tool in the workshop is perhaps the most counterintuitive, the premeditation of evils. This isn't pessimism, it's strategic realism. A master carver doesn't just blindly start hammering away. They inspect the marble. They look for fault lines, for hidden cracks, for veins of harder material. They anticipate problems before they arise. In the context of your goals, this means sitting down and asking, what could go wrong? Where is the granite in this mountain? If your goal is to run a marathon, what are the obstacles? Injury, lack of motivation on cold mornings, a busy work schedule. By meditating on these potential problems in advance, you can prepare for them. For injury, you plan a proper stretching routine. For lack of motivation, you find a running partner or prepare your gear the night before. For a busy schedule, you identify specific time slots in your calendar. When these obstacles inevitably appear, you are not surprised or demoralized. You expected them. You have a plan. You simply switch from your regular chisel to your granite chisel and keep working. This practice turns potential disasters into mere inconveniences. It transforms panic into problem solving. It's the ultimate mental insurance policy for any long-term project, ensuring that when you hit a hard patch, you don't give up on the mountain. You just adapt your technique. Block 3. Building your workshop and maintaining momentum. We have the mindset. We understand the Stoic principles of controlling our actions, loving the process, and preparing for obstacles. Now it's time to get practical. How do we build our own personal workshop and ensure our carving doesn't stop after the first week of enthusiasm wears off? This is about turning philosophy into a daily practice, creating the systems and habits that allow for sustained, long-term progress on your most ambitious goals. The first step is perhaps the most crucial. You must consciously and deliberately identify your mountain. In a world full of distractions and external pressures, it's incredibly easy to find yourself halfway up a mountain you never even wanted to climb. We chase goals set for us by society, by our parents, by our peers. Goals like a certain job title, a certain income level, a certain lifestyle. The Stoics would urge us to first look inward. Is this mountain truly yours? Does the act of carving it align with your core values, with what the Stoics called living a life of virtue? Take time for reflection. What is the one great objective that, if you made steady progress on it, would fundamentally change your life for the better? It must be something that inspires you, but also intimidates you. If it doesn't scare you a little, it's probably not a mountain. It's just a hill. Write it down. Be specific. Conquer my impossible goal is not a mountain, it's a cloud. Launch a profitable online store selling handmade leather goods is a mountain. Achieve fluency in Spanish is a mountain. Run the New York City Marathon is a mountain. Once you have identified your mountain, you must honor it by giving it your focused attention. You cannot carve 10 mountains at once. Choose one. This singular focus is your first act of commitment. Next, you need to choose your tools. What does a modern chisel and hammer look like? They are the systems and routines that make action as frictionless as possible. Your chisel could be the Pomodoro technique, setting a timer for 25 minutes and focusing on one single chip of your task with zero distractions. Your hammer could be time blocking, scheduling specific, non-negotiable carving sessions in your calendar as if they were important business meetings. A daily journal is an essential tool for sharpening your chisel, a place to review your progress, untangle problems, and remind yourself of the larger purpose, a practice Seneca himself advocated in his letters. A habit tracker can be a tool to measure your consistency, providing the satisfying visual feedback of a chain of completed days. The key is to create a workshop environment. This means designing your physical and digital spaces to encourage carving. If your mountain is writing a book, your workshop is a clean desk with your laptop and maybe software that blocks distracting websites. If your mountain is getting fit, your workshop is having your gym clothes laid out the night before. You are removing the friction between the decision to act and the action itself. But even with the best workshop, you will inevitably hit granite. These are the moments of doubt, frustration, and exhaustion. The moments when you've been carving for weeks and the mountain looks exactly the same. This is where your Stoic training is truly tested. When you hit granite, you must resist the urge to use a bigger hammer, to grind or hustle harder. That often leads to burnout and a broken chisel. Instead, the Stoic carver pauses. They step back. They re-examine the problem. Hitting granite is not failure. It's feedback. The mountain is telling you something. Perhaps you need a different tool, a new approach or skill. Perhaps you need to sharpen your current tool, to rest and recover. Or perhaps you just need to find a different angle of attack. This is about resilience, which isn't about being unbreakable, it's about being adaptable. It's the calm recognition that this is part of the process you chose to love. Every mountain has its granite. The master carver is not the one who never encounters it, but the one who knows how to navigate it without losing their resolve. Finally, you must trust in the profound, almost magical power of cumulative effect. One chip of stone is nothing. A handful makes a tiny pile of dust. But thousands of chips, day after day, week after week, carves canyons. The progress will be imperceptible on a daily basis. You will not see the statue taking shape for a very long time. This is why focusing on the process is so critical. You must have faith that your small, consistent daily actions are adding up to something monumental. You are not just carving a mountain, you are fundamentally transforming yourself. With every chip, you are forging a new identity. You are no longer the person who is paralyzed by big goals. You are the mountain carver. You are the person who shows up, who does the work, who trusts the process, and who has the strength and wisdom to turn the impossible into the inevitable, one single deliberate chip at a time. Stop staring at your mountain. Pick up your chisel. The first chip is all that matters. Carve your path.